I would say time management. I guess a lot of people don't realize how much time that we actually waste, without having a plan and keeping track of that.
No doubt, bro. Yeah, time management's huge. It's one of those things that, they don't make any more of. You can never buy any more of it. And once
Right.
it's gone, it's gone. So this is information like this is all like what it takes to operate at like a high level. And high level doesn't ever necessarily mean like, oh, it has to be financial. Like you don't have to be like a multimillionaire or billionaire for your time to be valuable, right? Like
Right.
time happens to be something that as we go down this path of like personal and professional development it's just a non-negotiable asset to protect. But that's what like this channel is all about. It's about the journey to the top 1%, and like how do we get there? It's by becoming 1% better daily, and like even with time, understanding that and understanding the direction that we need to be headed to operate at a top 1% level. So that's huge. And I'm excited to kind of talk about that and like what that's meant to you a little bit more. But before we
Yeah.
do that, why don't you tell the guys who you are, what you do, and let's get into it, bro.
All right, man. My name is Chevy Lee from Louisiana. I live in Baton Rouge from Houma. I'm a car enthusiast, a car buyer by my 9 to 5 is a car buyer at a dealership here in Baton Rouge.
That's awesome, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's how we met, man, bro. You have the Impala, I had the Lincoln. And
Oh, yeah.
it's man, I love the car scene, bro. I was actually talking to a gentleman that is he's got more businesses than I can count, and I don't know the extent of all of them, but I know just one of them already has over $1 billion. It's like
Ooh.
$1.45 billion valuation on it. And
Mhm.
I talking to him, and he's like, he's like a lot of guys that they go to the golf course to make deals. He's like, I go to the racetrack.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I was like, you my motherfucking people, dog. I was
Oh,
like, there
yeah.
is hope. There
Yeah, you
is
speaking
hope.
my language.
Yeah. So I'm here for it, bro. I'm here for it. So like, dude, I mean, that's like a really good point to what you were saying earlier. Is I'm a huge believer that like life just doesn't have to be inherently hard.
Right.
Like you, you don't have to make yourself miserable and just call it personal development. That's my personal opinion. So with that said, like part of that is like I enjoy like having hobbies, or I enjoy doing things that pour back into me. And cars is a huge piece of that, as is yours, but like if we don't have the time to do so, or we don't make the time, aka prioritizing that, like what are we really working for? Like why
Right.
why do we work so fucking hard and never get the opportunity to experience things that make us happy? So like let's dive a little bit deeper into, because I know that you're a newer member, and so it's cool for me to hear you say that, because time management is something that I think gets slept on ridiculous. So like what has that lesson been for you? Like how were you able to adopt time management? And like what do you see yourself doing with this newfound information moving forward to get you closer to your goals?
I would say it would help me develop a plan because being that I'm a car enthusiast, a car buyer, an actor as well, and I have other things going. So it's like I have to have a plan, and less I'll be just spinning my wheels.
Hmm. No, 100%, bro. Um, yeah, dude, I think so. Like when it comes to time management, we oftentimes hear people talking about like they wish they could clone themselves, or they're running out of time in the day, or they work, 25/8, or whatever the fucking, stupid cliche, the cliche fucking Instagram, bios are. But like when it comes down to it, I personally think a lot of it has to do with like the efficiencies in the way we operate as well. And I'm not saying that this has to be 100% truth for or for everyone, but I've like studied a lot of successful people and have talked to a lot that like all of us would consider would be successful. And a lot of them do have ways of prioritizing their time in a way that they operate the most efficiently. And some of that efficiency for them is breaking that time up with things that do rest and recharge their brains. Like I actually know dudes that produce multi-millions of dollars a year that like in the middle of their fucking day will stop and play like a video game just to like completely like reset their brain, and also kind of give their days like sprints, right? Like you sprint, you know, for the next 2 hours and you get to play 30 minutes of a video game or take a nap, or you know, maybe you live on a golf course and go swing a few clubs or whatever the case is, and then you're back to the grind, and then you rest and recharge, and you know, fucking we're car enthusiasts. Maybe you work for 2 hours and then you go, you know, rip down the highway in your GT3 RS or
Yeah.
like whatever it is, you know, like, but like when it comes to that, we're huge on like living in your dream life and building towards your dream life. And for me, if any of these things can get you closer to your dream life, it's a fuck yes for me. And so like for you, what does like enjoying some of your time along the journey, what does that look like for you? Like, how do you implement that into your day-to-day life or week-to-week life or month-to-month life where you can see that like you are getting more enjoyment out of life as a whole?
I would say it goes back to not hearing it 25/8. Like you have to have some point to where you have a second to do something that you enjoy, or just think about everything.
No, for sure. And you know, a big piece of it too in my mind is this looks different for everyone. Like that's one of my biggest things is like I hate people that say like, you know, it's their way or the highway. Like, okay, cool, you got to go crush it, you know, at the house or at the workplace, and then you got to go run 10 miles, or you got to go do this, and then you got to do a cold plunge, or you got to go do this, and you got to inherent, you know, just do something that pushes you outside of your comfort zone. Like a big part of why we work so hard is to enjoy some of the things in life, right? And um for me, it's what are those? Like, how do we derive what makes us happy, or not even what makes us happy, but like what fulfills us? Like, what pours back into our cup? Because the thing is something that I've studied personally, like in my own self a lot, is how far and how close to the edge can I push it before burnout actually happens? Because the burnout is, man, I mean, you're in the gym a lot, right? Like I relate like burnout to like injuries in the gym. Like a lot of times, like you see guys out there ego lifting and they push it too hard. They move the weight incorrectly and it puts too much tension on a secondary muscle or a ligament or a joint or something that can't handle the pressure. It collapses and now they're out for weeks, if not months at a time. And then it's a huge setback. Whereas if they were just focused on that incremental growth instead of rushing it and taking time to rest and recharge and recover, that would have never happened. And it's the same thing with burnout. Cause like even myself looking back on, you know, the last 5, 6, 7 years for sure, I've hit burnout like, and I'm talking like real burnout, like bad burnout, probably 3 or 4 times. Like the first 2 or 3 years, I hit it about once per year. And then I kind of like loosened up and learned some. And then, you know, like a year or two later, like pushed a little bit too hard again and hit the burnout again. And, you know, for me, it looks different than probably what it does for other people. But, you know, I hit that fucking brick wall. I tried so hard to do something. Maybe I set improper expectations with myself on like what, considering whatever this initiative or program or launch that I had would make it successful. It didn't hit that. So now here I am. I'm like, I spent all this fucking time, all this hard work on it, and it didn't equate to like what I expected. And then it's almost like I give up for a little bit. Like 2, 3, 4 weeks go by and I'm waking up just whenever the fuck I wake up. Or, you know, I'm not sticking to my regiment. I'm not sticking to my morning and evening routines. I'm giving up and making excuses. And then that affects everything in my life. Like it affects the way I'm a husband. It affects the way, that I'm a father. It affects the way that I'm a friend. It affects the way I'm a fucking man. And that for me is like one of the most detrimental things that can happen. And so for me, it's just like I've been studying myself. I'm like, what does that look like and how can I prevent that? But like, what's been like something like for you, like where you've noticed yourself either trying too hard or not trying hard enough, or like trying to navigate these waters of like what makes me successful, but what also like gives me the ability to like enjoy some of the fruits of my labor.
I would say with my Born Visionaries channel, edit videos and things like that. I feel like I can definitely be working more towards that, in that aspect. I've been slacking lately. I can admit that. I'm a fuck up, but I'm working on fixing it. We all fuck up sometimes, but um, I got a plan for that, and I'm gonna just get on it. But the first step to that, I guess, is me recognizing that I've been messing up. I've been slacking off.
Mm. I think that's one of the benefits, of being around other like-minded guys. Cause like I said, like I know that you're newer to the group. And like you get thrown into this program and with the way we're growing, there's going to be some guys that are new with you, like they had just joined a couple of days before you, and some maybe a couple of days after you. So like there's always going to be fresh meat, if you will, and guys that are figuring out the process and the program and what VIP entails and where the value is and how to extract it and the benefits. But like at the most basic core of it, to your point, is like you start surrounding yourself with guys that are doing real shit and you see the way real motherfuckers move, right? And a lot of us have never been exposed to that. We have lifelong friends that we just kind of grew up with. And I hate to say it, but like if it's a bunch of mediocre motherfuckers and the law of averages kicks in, we're a mediocre motherfucker too. And usually you'll have that one in the group. And I don't know the exact statistics, if it's like 1 in 5 and 1 in 10 or fucking 1 in 100, that like, kind of looking around at some point and you're like, think I was meant for more than this, bro. And like, so that's when you start going out and looking for these groups of people that, or just people in general that are making the attempt at the top 1%. Like they are trying to change the trajectory of their life and they're trying to build something better for themselves and create a legacy and change their family tree. Right. And at its most, core level, just being surrounded by these guys that move different, it automatically, the law of averages brings you up and shows you like, yeah, maybe I could wake up a little bit earlier and prioritize some stuff. Maybe I should work a little bit harder. Maybe I can change some of these core values. Maybe I can fix some of this mindset. And so, like for you, like I'm glad that you recognize that, there are opportunities here for you. But let's just talk about like what were some of the signs, like just being around other high performers, like what has that done for yourself in this like, relatively short amount of time that you've been a part of it?
Um, I would say it's teaching me lessons about, like I said, time management. Is giving me a clearer perspective about what I have going on. It's making me recognize I can definitely be better in the areas that I like in my life. It lets me see that other guys also go through the same thing, and I just feel comfortable with these guys.
Yeah. No, and I think that's a big part of it too, is like understanding like, and this is, bro, some people maybe aren't ready to swallow the pill, but like it's kind of like, okay, and like get the fuck over it, bro. Like life be lifing for everybody. We all have stories. We all have good and bad, experiences from our past. Like we all have our own previous traumas, albeit some at different levels, but like we all been there. We got the shirts, and being around guys that are more solution focused instead of problem focused. They're more focused on the future than the past, right? Like I got a friend of mine from growing up, and Heather kind of gets on to me all the time, um, because like he's so infatuated with like our past life, like it's almost like, the kids that peaked in high school, like your football, your football quarterback, or the wrestling, team captain, or whatever the case is. Like these dudes that like peaked in high school, that's all they ever do is they talk about the past. They talk about the past, the glory days, the good old days. Whereas like you start to surround yourself with guys, like I'm starting to be like this sounds fucking weird, but like I'm starting, or at least to me, like I'm starting to get excited for like my mid 40s, because I'm like, we've learned so much, and like we've established so much, and the progress we're making, and the forward momentum, and the trajectory, and the forecast, like everything that we're creating. I'm like, fuck yeah, like, there's so much excitement around like what is to come and what we can make it, versus like all the lost opportunity, or all the chances we never got, or like everyone else got a silver platter and I didn't. Like you're so focused on all these like negative things instead of the positives. But like for you specifically, like now that you're indulged in this new way of thinking based on the surroundings that you're in, what's like something that's got you excited about the future?
With a plan. That
Having a plan?
whiteboard. That whiteboard.
Yeah. Let's talk about that a little bit. Like what's on your whiteboard?
Um, my auto buying. That's my 9 to 5. But what's also on my board is car flipping. That kind of goes hand in hand. 2 point. My acting career as well. My brand born visionaries, and that's all I have on there right now.
Yeah. I mean, so, and this is where like being in groups like this, we've had a couple of hard conversations with some of the guys who, you start to really look at what makes up someone's dream life. And there's nothing wrong with writing down a lot of different things like yourself. But when you come around guys like us, the polarity in what we're doing here is saying, it's cool that you have all that shit on your whiteboard, bro. Love it. Happy to see it. But if you never actually accomplish it, what the fuck is the point of all of this, right? And so, like, that's when you start to see men set their ego aside and say, okay, you over here have already accomplished one of these things that's on my whiteboard. How'd you do it? What did it require? What are the steps that it takes? But you over here, you accomplished another one of them. So like, what was that experience like for you? What did you learn along the way? And you start piecing together what this like journey looks like. And then you start to develop some of these like systems and processes, or these routines, or whatever you want to call them, that can help get you there. But it's all based on, I don't necessarily want to call it factual, but like a lot of it's black and white. And some of that is, we can do anything, we just can't do everything, right? Like don't get in, not getting distracted by shiny objects and stuff like this. And it's like, hey, if it is on our path to our dream life, like once you fill out your whiteboard and you're all the way down here, right? Like you're all the way at the bottom, and then all the way up here is your dream life, and there's a million different steps along the way. This gives us a tool that, like, when some of these opportunities come up, especially some of us that have, more than just like one piece of the puzzle for their dream life, um, we start to really like establish what has to come first. Like what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Like what pours into the next, which then produces opportunities for the next and stuff like that, because you can only theoretically work on one of them at a time, um, in an efficient manner, right? And we're very big on, the more specific you can be about something, the more successful you'll be at it, right? So like the top of your whiteboard might look completely different than other people's, in the sense of like, They're you're more outgoing, like you're more involved in things. Whereas one of our guys' whiteboard is to be like, just completely off grid, like to live completely off grid. And that's his life. And albeit as simple as it sounds, there is a lot of, we did dial in and he did get extremely specific on what living off grid looks like. How much money will it take to acquire the property that he wants? How, like, all the way down to like, where's the location, like city, state, what amenities does it have, like mountainous, river, flat land, garden land, stuff like that, land he can build on, how many acreage it is, and stuff like that. And so, as simple as that is, compared to also someone like yourself who's got like 5 or 6 pieces of what makes up his dream life, it's how do we attack this in a proper manner? How do we start to get clarity on what these next steps look like for us? So, like, from you, again, and I'm not like intentionally like picking about you being newer, but that's why I like this like perspective is like you're at a point where like you almost just did the whiteboard. Like you did the 30-day challenge, but like you almost like that's pretty much all you've had time to do yet. So you haven't had the chance to kind of build the plane as you fly it. Um, it's like, all right, cool. Like, what does the clarity of having this whiteboard do for you? And what do you see this journey from where you are now to your dream life? What do you feel that looks like for you now that you have it all mapped out?
Well, I know the steps since I mapped it out, and that it gives me more clarity to focus on the next thing once I progress in the other thing.
Um, so I'm writing this down. So I was expecting a longer answer, so I was writing this down before you got done, so I didn't forget.
Yeah.
But this will give us something to kind of elaborate on. Is we did the first, it was like a mock retreat. The first retreat we ever did, it was like kind of like an unofficial retreat. We didn't really know how we were going to operate on. We knew we wanted to do them. We had, in theory, what we needed to do, but like we weren't really sure. And so, anyways, there was like 16 of us at our first retreat. So 16 men, I guess 17 counting me. And we went around the room discussing our big ass problems. And then we spent a fucking weekend locked away with, ourselves and 16 other men, really getting to the root of how do we solve our big ass problems. Now, 14 of the 16 of us, or I guess technically 15 out of the 17, it was something financial, right? Which is a big piece to a lot of people's lives. And you get through the retreat and so we got home on a Sunday or a Monday, and then the next day was Tuesday, which is our roundtable calls. So we were able to go through and basically unpack everything that we had learned and talked about at the retreat on this call with all the rest of the members. And the level of confidence, because as we're going through what all of our big ass problems are on the call with, 40 other guys or however many guys were on that call, is you started to see, well, shit, 14 out of the 16 of us, you know, uh, we're experiencing the same thing, right? Like 7/8 of the group were all experiencing that. So then you multiply that, by 4 on the guys that are on the call. And so here you are, like another 7/8 of everyone's like, yeah, financial this, financial that, whatever. And so you see a clear distinction in the confidence of the guys that went on the retreat versus the ones that were just on the call. And the thing is there was no time from Monday to Tuesday for anyone to take action on what they learned on the retreat. Zero. It's 24 hours later from the time we, flew in till the time the retreat call, I mean, pardon me, the roundtable call was. So zero action, but they had a plan versus the other guys on the call, same pain point, same problem, but no path to a solution. or lack thereof, definitely not as dialed in as post retreat. And the the common denominator to the guys that were at the retreat and the confidence that they shared was they just finally had a clear vision on what to start doing to solve the problem. That's it. They just had a plan. And so, like, for me, that's phase one. That's step one. So, like, talking to someone like yourself who's just now getting started, just gotten through the 30-day challenge, it's not necessarily like a whole bunch of earth-shattering information or life-changing action that's happened. It's just like motherfucker got a plan now, like a clear-cut vision on like what is the next step, and then what is the step after that, and what's the step after that. And obviously, as you progress down this journey, you might get 5 or 6 steps down the road, and like what you have documented might be different than what you in, from theory to actually practical use, applicable use. You're like, cool, now we change it up some and we move here and we learn this and we operate that. And this is the information that we have. Because the thing is, we make decisions based on the information that we have. And as you start to develop, you start operating with more information. So some of those decisions might change based on updated information. But like what's that been for you as far as like your confidence goes in just having a plan? Because the thing is like everybody joins Uncaged for a reason. Like albeit like we're a lot of cool guys. We're fun to hang out with. Like we have a good time. This isn't just necessarily like a country club. Like there's a problem somewhere in your life. You believe that Uncaged can produce the solution. And that's why you join. So like after joining and after getting some of this clarity on like what these next steps look like, what has that done for your confidence as like just like a human fucking being?
I would say it boosted my confidence a lot because I'm the type of person that if I don't have a plan or anything, the clarity, I'm going to keep spinning my wheels. I'm going to keep bullshitting. I'm going to keep procrastinating. So you guys definitely be on my ass. I see how y'all be on other people's ass for sure.
No doubt. Yeah, there's one of the big things we talk about inside Uncaged is immediate action over perfect procrastination. And that might sound contradictory to what I just explained about, oh, we have this 30-day challenge and you map everything out, blah, blah, blah. Again, I just said it like things change as you progress down this like journey, right? Like you have your whiteboard, it all works in theory, but then when you start moving to the practical side of things, it's up to you to be adapting and overcoming. Like it is meant, that whiteboard is meant to be a living document. It's supposed to change with you. It's supposed to be like your Bible. Like it is supposed to be your answers to what happens next. And we got some guys in the group, like Roden. No bullshit. Roden probably has 30 to 60 hours in his whiteboard. Because he did it when we first launched, and we launched it what? So like 9 months ago. And he's probably built one and erased it and built another one and erased it and built another. He's probably done that like 4 times and he's probably got like 30 to 60 hours involved in creating this. But it's awesome because you see him making decisions like big life decisions with full confidence because of this whiteboard, because he has the plan and because he realizes that like as he goes, it's not like, oh, once you write it on this whiteboard, then it's set in stone and you can never go against it. It's like, no, we adapt and overcome as we go. And so, for you specifically being newer to this and newer on the journey, is I think that's a big takeaway is understanding that you took the hardest step, which was the first step. Because then you start acquiring momentum and then you start stacking wins and then you start creating habits and then you start developing new neurocycles and things, your lifestyle just fucking changes. And that's what the coolest thing about it is when we really start to understand like immediate action over perfect procrastination, that's when everything changes because it's the speed in which we do things that, in my opinion, differentiates us as high achievers. Because when you start really looking at the way other people operate, they're waiting till Monday. They're waiting till the first of the month. They're waiting to January 1st. Like they're always waiting for these opportunities to be like the perfect scenario, like the perfect time to have the baby, the perfect time to start the business, the perfect time to buy a house or make a move. And we all know that there's no perfect time, right? But I can look back on my past and see that the quicker I've gotten the plane off the ground, it's allowed me to see where its weaknesses are and I can build it up better because I'm actually putting real action through it instead of just creating this perfect plane on ground based off theory because theory is not really applicable until you put pressure behind it. So, um, that's one of the things that like I think is going to be a huge piece for you, and I'm glad that you've already developed that is like understanding that it ain't going to be perfect when you start. It ain't going to be pretty, but just fucking starting separates you from 99% of the population. But bro, this has been a great conversation. I've had a blast sitting here chopping it up with you. Like, what's something we can do for you to pay you back for the time that you spent here with us today, bro?
I mean, just keep doing what y'all doing, man. I enjoy the roundtable calls every week. I always take away nuggets from that. I always enjoy watching y'all get on other people. And I actually enjoy seeing the progress as well, man. Because that guy last week before last, he was going through something, and last week it seems like his situation got better. So I like that.
It just be like that, bro. You know, we just be solving problems and working
Oh yeah,
together.
oh yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, I appreciate your time as fucking always, Chevy. And guys, if y'all are listening to this episode, if you got anything from it, if you know me, if you know Chevy, maybe you don't, but you got something from this, like give us a shout, like shoot us a message, let us know what your takeaway was. If you would, to help spread the message, like this episode, give us a share, leave us a comment. Like we'd like to know what about this meant something to you, but not only that, like how you're going to take the action on the information that you heard here today. But appreciate you guys, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.